Hi guys, I recently built myself a low-budget workstation, which I found extremely useful in my daily work. I've been recently travel a lot without my laptop, and when I got time to work on my project a bit, I can basically find any machines with internet and work remotely on my own project with my own development environment. In this video, I am going to show you how I made this low-budget workstation with remote connectivity. First, download the Raspberry Pi imager from the official site, which will be used to image your Pi with an SD card. I personally use an SSD for my setup, which is much faster than booting from an SD card. I use it as my personal workstation, running some Docker images and doing some coding, which works perfectly fine. Let's get started. Select your Pi, then select the OS. I'll use the 64-bit Pi OS. You can also choose a lightweight OS from the other options, which don't have graphic interface, which is more lightweight and faster if you only need the command line. You can customize some other settings before flashing your OS, like setting up SSH, Wi-Fi, etc. You can also do it after the OS is installed. Click Next, erase the SD card and let the imager do the job. One thing to mention for users with SSD setup, there are two options. One, you can use an NVMe adapter to image the OS just like a normal USB drive. Or two, if you don't have and don't want to buy an adapter, you can first image an SD card and boot from it. Then, connect your Pi with the NVMe hat with SSD installed and boot from the SD card. Once booted, you'll find the Raspberry Pi imager pre-installed on the Pi OS. Do another imaging process, and you'll see your SSD shown as a storage option this time. After that, in the Raspberry Pi configuration settings, enable the USB boot option, and then you should be able to remove the SD card and reboot from the SSD connected. Alright, with the Pi running now, let's move to the fun part. We want to make it a remote workstation to be accessed from anywhere. To do this, you just need two things. First, configure your home router to forward the desired traffic to your Pi. Second, set up a dynamic DNS so you can access your IT with a static name. Don't worry, these setups are easier than they sound, and we'll cover them now. Let's set up the router first. I'm on my home network so I can access my Pi using this local address. The address can be easily found in your Pi's network info. I'll create a text file here just for fun. This address might change after reboot and reconnect Pi to network. What we want to do now is configure the router to always assign a fixed IP to Pi. This is simple on most modern routers. Go to your router's admin page and look for a setting called Reserve Address or Assign Address. In my case, I found it under the LAN setup. Selected my Pi, assigned a fixed address, and save. And we're all set. I'm on my Pi screen now, and the Wi-Fi address is now .88 as expected. Here's the text file we created for fun earlier. There is another small router setting we want to do, is to forward specific incoming router traffic to our Pi. For example, SSH traffic uses port 22, and in router's configuration, we can look for something like port forwarding. Here, I'll forward incoming requests on port 22 to my Pi's address on the same port 22. Click Apply, and it should be good. Let's test it. First, I'll find my current public IP address assigned by my internet service provider, aka ISP. This address can change over time, but for now, this is the one. I'll try to SSH into this address. The router should see the SSH request and forwards it to my Pi on port 22. And there it is. It's asking for the password. And I'm in. I can remotely create another text file and we can see both text files now. That's it with the router setup. We're halfway there. We can now access our Pi as long as we know our router's or home internet IP address. Next, let's move on to the second part. We want to be able to find our router's or home internet IP address easily. As I mentioned before, this IP address can change anytime if our ISP decides to assign us a new one. There are two options to handle this. 1. Request a static IP address from your ISP, and 2. Use a dynamic DNS service, aka DDNS. In simple words, DDNS provides an alias to our internet IP address, which is an easy-to-remember, human-readable name, like google.com, rather than a random IP address assigned by our ISP. In this video, I'll use a DDNS because it's simple. You can choose any DDNS provider, and some router manufacturers even offer their own DDNS services. I'll be using DuckDNS because it's free and very easy to set up. First, go to duckdns.org and create your account. Once logged in, you'll see some information like a token that you'll need later. Be sure to keep this token private and do not share it with anyone. As you can see, I already have a domain entry here. If this is your first time, you'll just add an alias domain name that makes sense to you. Once added, the current IP field may be empty at first. This is because you haven't registered any IP with this domain yet. Now to set up DuckDNS, go to the install. Find Pi instructions. It first creates a script that talks with DDNS servers using your token to update your current IP address with your alias record, so you need to use your domain name and token here. I won't show my here, but don't forget to put in yours. Then the following steps register a cron job that run the script periodically. We can verify by checking the log file created by the script. For example, here's a log file with a timestamp of 2:10. If we wait couple minutes, it shows a new timestamp 2:11 on the file. That's it. Now I have a remote workstation I can connect to from anywhere. Let's try it out by doing some coding on a remote SSH on the Pi. I will create a new SSH connection in VS Code. Log in with the DDNS alias I just created. Save it in the default location, and let's try connecting. Great! It's asking for the password, which means we're talking with the Pi. And here are the folders and files on the Pi. Let's check the DDNS script. Yes, it's the file we just worked on. We can edit it directly here in VS Code. In the command line, we can find the text file we created earlier. Perfect. And that's it for setting up this remote workstation. I find it incredibly convenient when I'm away from home, but want to work on my projects. I hope it's helpful for you. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. See you in the next video.